Hello and welcome to Crime Bytes, the show where we talk about some truly bizarre and disturbing crime cases. My name is Liz and today is True Crime Tuesday. Now, as you can see, I've got my hair all done up real nice because today we are doing our first Florida man case and I am trying to rival this guy right here. Now that is some hair. Am I right? But that is probably going to be the only humorous detail about today's story because, guys, this one is just bad. So, for some reason, many of the cases I'm talking about deal with religion. We had two Christian radical mothers who killed their children in just gruesome fashions. And today we are going to look at a man who murdered his family and the reason why they refused to convert to the Nation of Islam. So, let's meet Ronnie O'Neal. Ronnie was born on July 27th of 1989. He grew up with a stepfather and his brother in what was described in a stable home. However, he did experience sexual abuse at the age of 5 from a relative that was left untreated, so he just kind of had to deal with it. He did go on to play football in high school and sing in the choir at church and participate in the Reserve Officer Training Course, which was a program that prepared high school students for life in the military. Unfortunately, after he did graduate from high school, he failed the entrance exam for the military, specifically the Marine Corps, on multiple occasions. He would go on to perform in a hip-hop duo, work in a casino, work as a truck driver, and then took work with a social work agency called Build Your Community. In his romantic life, he would settle down with a woman named Kenyatta Brown, who also went by Kiki, and the pair would go on to have 2 children together, a daughter named Ranivia and a son named Ronnie Jr. Things weren't perfect in the couple's relationship, though, as could be seen when Kenyatta went to get a paternity test for Ronnie Jr. It would turn out that Ronnie was, in fact, the father, but the couple would decide to not remain together, and Ronnie would go on to have another son with another woman who they would name Aisha. Unfortunately for Ronnie, he would then be involved in a drive-by shooting that would almost claim his life. But when this happened, his mother and current girlfriend both refused to let him go stay with him. So Kiki opened up her home to him, although he still continued his relationship with his other son's mother. Now we come to the night of March 18th, 2018. During the day, there are reports that Kiki was fighting with Ronnie's current girlfriend and also that Ronnie and Kiki were fighting throughout the day. Reports and speculations include that he was working on converting his family to Nation of Islam and they weren't really on board with that. And from the sounds of it, he decided to kill them because of it. What we do know is that for whatever reason they were fighting, at some point Ronnie snapped and started attacking Kiki. While he was attacking her, she would make this 911 call.
Listen to the background.
What is the address you're at? Hello, ma'am.
What you hear in the background is the fire alarm going off.
Where's the gun?
Simply horrifying. And during the sentencing, the judge made this remark about it.
The way that Miss Barron died was horrific, and that 911 call, which captured truly all of it. You've heard, and everyone who's heard that 911 call heard a death scream. If anybody ever wants to know what it sounds like before a human being dies, knowing that their death is imminent, that's exactly what it is. That was a death scream.
It's sad, doesn't even begin to describe it. So Ronnie would shoot Kiki twice that night, in the arm and shoulder, and beat her to death with the shotgun. He was yelling Allah Abkar, and I apologize if I mispronounced that, but it means God is the greatest. He also attempted to have his son participate in the murder, making him point the gun at his mother and telling him to pull the trigger, to which the poor boy refused. Kiki would run outside, where she would end up collapsing and ultimately passing away. He then went on and dragged his daughter to his mother's room and started hacking into her head and back with a hatchet, all while his son watched. He then lit her on fire and pinned his son down and tried to light him on fire. When his son tried to get away, he caught up with him in the kitchen, where he pulled out a knife and stabbed him and then did light him on fire, along with the rest of the house. When responding officers would arrive, they would find him near Kiki in the front lawn saying, "You don't understand, she killed me." Ronnie Jr. would make it out of the house, burnt and literally holding his insides in from his stab wounds, and would end up surviving the attack. Poor little Renevia and Kiki would not be so lucky. After he was determined to be competent to stand trial, Ronnie decided to represent himself, which really is a terrible decision unless you're a genius or you've studied law extensively. This is how well that went.
I'm asserting justifiable homicide because I acted in self-defense and moved to protect myself and my children from Kenyatta Barron. I'm going to be showing with evidence several reasonable reasons to doubt the state's allegation against me. The evidence will show that the state cannot prove that I premeditatedly killed anyone because I didn't have any time to reflect or plot and plan as if everything happened suddenly and spontaneously. I responded out of pure instinct and heat of passion. Eliminating any kind of premeditated design. And let me just say, the evidence will show that since the state plans to kill me, if they can say that I killed my family unjustly, they plan to premeditatedly kill me, so they cannot say or deny me the right to premeditatedly kill Kenyatta Barron if she killed my children.
As you can see, it's a little bit of a runaround. His main argument was that he killed Kiki in self-defense after she killed Renevia and tried to kill little Ronnie. But unfortunately for him, little Ronnie survived, and unfortunately for little Ronnie, he had to testify against his father. Here is a clip from that.
I just saw my dad holding a shotgun and my mom screaming at him.
And your father had a shotgun. What happened next? What did he do?
My mom ran in my sister's room. My mom ran in my sister's room into the closet. And then my dad said, "Come here and come kill the B-word."
Did you hear any shots from the shotgun before that?
Yes.
How many times?
One.
Was there a time when your mother was able to get out of the closet?
She was like stumbling outside, and then I just saw my dad chase her.
What do you remember happening next?
My dad told me to walk around and say like some words.
And do you remember what words your father told you to say?
Allah Akbar.
Allahu Akbar?
Yes.
Did he do something to your sister?
Yes, he hit her with an axe. And then he went in the garage, I followed him. He put me on the ground, and then he had his foot on top. I was laying on my stomach, he had his foot on top of me, and he was holding me down, and he was lighting a match.
Not only did he have to testify against his father, but because Ronnie Sr. was representing himself, he had to be cross-examined by him. And here is a clip from that.
Did I hurt you that night of this incident?
Yes.
I did. And how did I hurt you?
You stabbed me.
That brave little boy. And I'm sorry, but that scumbag Ronnie, this is what he has to say about his son's testimony.
The evidence will also show that he was present, but does not remember accurately or consistently what happened for many reasons, making him unreliable when it comes to the actual facts. He also has been diagnosed with PTSD, as he should be, because this is a very traumatic thing that he went through.
That's just sick. I can't. Ronnie was sentenced to 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 90 years. So that's good. The judge had this to say about the whole situation.
And I was aware, because I reviewed a lot of the discovery ahead of time, as you well know, did a lot of in-camera inspection of a lot of documents. And I was aware there was some evidence, at least, that when you needed to recover from your gunshot wound, that neither your parents nor your Aisha, Miss Robinson, would let you come recover at their home. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to get into a dispute. I'm just mentioning there was some evidence referencing that in the records. And all I can think about, because I knew that Miss Barron was not with you romantically at the time. And I knew that she just out of the goodness of her heart let you come stay with her. And it is beyond tragic that that critical decision ended in so much horror for her and for her children. It is unspeakably cruel what happened as a result of that one decision.
I feel so bad for Kiki and Renivia, and I'm just gonna let the judge keep going because she says it so much better than I can.
19 years I've been at this job. I've seen human beings killed at the hands of others in every way imaginable. You name it, I've seen it. Shootings, stabbings, drownings, suffocatings, blown apart by cars, some DUI manslaughter cases, horrible things. This is the worst case I have ever seen as far as the facts go. When the person from fire department, when he testified, and when he said that he retrieved the body of Ronnie O'Neal from the home, and all he could do was sob. It took every ounce I had not to start sobbing too. Because there is no way any person with any feeling could have witnessed or seen the photos of what occurred that night and not be haunted for the rest of your life. I know I will be. For the rest of my life, I'll be haunted by what I saw as far as the evidence and just the abject cruelty of it all. The abject cruelty. What happened to little Ronivia and to little Ronnie, but I'm going to focus on Ronivia because she was special. And you could tell Miss Barron had done everything she could to create a beautiful home for her family. I noticed that the Ronivia's bedroom, before you set it on fire, you could tell she tried so hard to make her feel like a princess. Kenyatta did everything she could. And I noticed too in the kitchen, on the refrigerator, she put up magnets that said faith, love, family, hope. And then you know what else happened at the refrigerator during that night? It got splattered with blood all over it due to what happened. Little Ronivia, she couldn't scream, she couldn't run away, and she witnessed what you did to her mother as far as shooting her mother in the arm with the gunshot. She knew. And the horror that that child suffered. And she already had a life where she was born with challenges regarding her physical and her mental disabilities. But the pain and suffering that she suffered that night at your hands, unspeakable, absolutely unspeakable. And at the moment, that first time you struck her with that hatchet, and little Ronnie testified that all he could see was tears coming out of his sister's face. At that moment, that child knew. She knew she was being betrayed in the cruelest, most tragic and sorrowful way that a child could ever be betrayed. She was being betrayed by her parent, the one person that should be there to protect their children and love them and keep them from harm. And that was the last thing that child felt before she passed on from this earth, was your utter, cruel betrayal to her.
Whew. That poor sweet child. The story feels like a freaking punch in the gut, and I hate it. So that is going to do it. But as always, let's end today on a more positive note. And today's feel-good highlight is actually the end of our main story. And it is what happens to Ronnie Jr. after this horrific incident that he had to go through and then basically re-ordeal for almost 3 years while the trial went on. So while Ronnie Jr. was in the hospital, he bonded with one of the responding officers, and when arrangements with family fell through, they went ahead and adopted him. He has 5 siblings now and a loving family, and whenever he is feeling anxious, they taught him to remember, I am safe and I am loved. So at least in spite of this tragedy, there is some happiness in the end for Ronnie. So guys, let me know what you think about today's story in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe and please stay safe out there. Bye!